Hello, my name is Gloria Maravilla, and my topic is on suicide trends. The three subtopics I will cover include gender, age, and race ethnicity. I will explain how each of these aspects affect the suicide trends. First, let me explain suicide and its major impacts. Suicide is the act of taking one's own life away, voluntarily and irrationally. Not only are you ending your own life, you're also causing great sorrow to those who surround and love you. The first topic I will discuss is gender and the role it has on suicide trends. Gender is a critical aspect and it holds many differences when it comes to suicide rates. According to Susan Blumenthal on her article on suicide and gender, she stated that women attempt suicide 3 times as frequently as men. The higher rate for women can be related to the rate of mood disorder and many other factors that take place. But males are more likely to actually die in the act than women. This is due to the methods that are used between each gender. Blumenthal also stated that suicide is more common than those who are single, recently separated, divorced, or widowed. The suicide rates are highest for widowed men and second highest for divorced men. Divorced women have a suicide rate almost 4 times that of a married woman, but widowhood does not impact on suicidal behavior in women as it does in men. Sex role stereotype gender. Gender role socialization and men's emphasis on cognitive capabilities rather than interpersonal relationships may also contribute to the differences in men's and women's suicide rates in the past. But as social roles change over time for men and women, the suicide statistics might change as well. Blumenthal also states, women are more likely than men to have stronger social supports, to feel that their relationships are determinants to committing suicide, and to seek psychiatric and medical intervention. These protective factors may contribute to the lower rate of completed suicide in women. Although gender is a major aspect to suicide rates, another major aspect is age. Bernard Arends, Anne Burford, Thomas Wolfe, and Bruno Mueller stated in the article Suicide Attempts, Age, and Duration of Illness and Recurrent Affective Disorders that in general, young people attempt suicide more often but complete it less frequently than the elderly. The authors draw the conclusion that older patients clearly have fewer but longer episodes during any given time period than younger patients, and that they make fewer attempts to end their lives. Blumenthal states that age is also a significant factor in suicide. In the United States, suicide rates are highest after the age of 65, but over the past 30 years, the greatest increase in rates has occurred in young people 15 to 24 years old. Adolescence and young adulthood mark the period of the life cycle when impulsive risk-taking behavior is most common, and when substance abuse and many mental illnesses first emerge. Our country's increase in youth suicide may be explained by the rising rates of mental illness, the earlier onset of mental disorders, and the increased rates of substance use. Bernard Ulrich also stated that particularly elderly patients who attempt suicide should be regarded as being at high risk of completing suicide. They found in a study of 626 suicide attempters that in the case of elderly patients, there is a much higher correspondence between demographic factors involved in attempted and completed suicides than in the case with younger patients. In the website suicide.org, they stated that, on average, a young person aged 15 to 24 dies by suicide every 2 hours and 12 minutes. Suicide is the 11th leading cause of death for all Americans. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for young people aged 15 to 24 years old. The third and final aspect of suicide is race, ethnicity. In the article, Suicide for Minorities, Much Lower Census Data Indicate, written by Kelly Burns, stated that African Americans score higher on measures of both individualism and collectivism than do whites. Individualism may give them more self-esteem, and collectivistic values offer more community support in times of distress within men, which may play into the lower suicide rates. Burns also stated that in the U.S., non-Hispanic whites and Native Americans have double the rates as compared to blacks, Asian Americans, and non-white Latinos. In fact, the suicide rate for the Native American population has slowly increased in recent years, with the rate of 3.8 in 2000 to a rate of 5.1 in 2006 for Native American females, but for males it was a 16.0 in 2000 and an 18.3 in 2006. In an article available in the Suicide Prevention Resource Center, it stated that black rates can differ by ethnicity. One study found that among adult males, Caribbean blacks had a higher rate of suicide attempts than African American blacks. On the other hand, another study found that among adolescent males, African American blacks were approximately 5 times more likely than Caribbean blacks to attempt suicide. Significant protective factors that can differ between ethnicity and race include effective mental health care, connectedness to individuals, family, community, and social institutions, problem-solving skills, and contacts with caregivers. This issue can fall under the social conflict theory. Suicide itself does not necessarily fall under social conflict, but what causes people to commit suicide does. Many times suicide can come from bullies or from feeling like individually people are not being heard. These emotions are derived from feeling like they are not powerful and they have no meaning to the world. People are constantly trying to be the best, but they do not realize that their actions affect anyone around them. This issue can be altered by people realizing what is happening in their surroundings. If people couldn't notice side effects and signs of depression, it can be possible to lower the suicide rates. Overall, there are many aspects that can influence the suicide trends and rates. The gender aspect stated that women are more likely to attempt suicide, but men will be more likely to commit the act. With the age aspect, it stated that young adolescents are more likely to attempt suicide, but the elderly will be more likely to commit suicide. With the race and ethnicity aspect, it stated that minorities are less likely to commit suicide and that some ethnicities have very different suicide rates. It is always good to keep these aspects in trends in mind. It is also important that we pay attention to our surroundings, and if we find that someone needs help or we personally need help, we should report it right away and get help.